Finding a mine in a suitable location may take considerable time and effort and research, and the skillful use of the internet and a little detective work. Oftentimes, information that you'll get from one source will have to be combined with one or more additional sources in order to put together all of the information necessary to find a good mine site that meets all of the requirements that you have. For example, in part 2 of this video, I'll show you a mine site that I found by discovering on the internet an old map that had been published in the late 1800s. And it had the name of a mine and, of course, the location of the mine, but not the latitude and longitude. And this particular mine was not listed or shown on any of the more modern maps that I had. So this was a really good source for finding something that was going to be out of the way and not something likely discovered by other people. Anyhow, what I did do, once I had the name of the mine, was I was able to go to another source, in this case minedat.org, and plug in the name and therefore find the latitude and longitude. Okay, here's a few tips on some things that I've found helpful. You want to review a wide variety of maps. There are Forest Service maps, there are BLM maps, there are county maps, there are topo maps, especially on the internet, that are very helpful. You can go to local libraries in the area that you're interested in and find useful information there many times. And there's also all kinds of things on the internet, especially historical maps on the internet. Then what you want to do is look for mines that fit the following requirements. The foremost is that you want to find them in remote locations. Remote locations for two reasons. One is that they're sites that probably haven't been recently worked by other people. So this is important. Another nice thing about a remote location is that you're unlikely to be disturbed there when you're doing your prospect. Another thing to look for on the maps is some sort of a water source, especially if you're going to be hiking into the location and you're going to be using a gold pan or sluice box or something like that. You'll want to look for the exact location of the old mine site. Sometimes maps will show an approximate location just by an image on a map of the mine, but they don't give the latitude and longitude. And it's very important to find that latitude and longitude by going to other sources so that you can more easily find it. Because in a general area, it can be very difficult to find that site because of all the trees and the brush and the terrain, and so you want to narrow it down as much as possible. So after finding the coordinates, then what you want to do is go to Google Earth, not to Google Maps. Enter the coordinates of the mine in Google Earth and take a look at what's there. You want to look for features such as roads, a water source, maybe you can see actual evidence of the mine site itself, buildings in the area, etc. You want to look at the date that's on the satellite image so that you know how long ago this image was taken. If it's a very recent image, then you can be fairly sure that the information that you're seeing there in the satellite is probably accurate. If it's a very old image, things may have changed. Be aware of that. Then use the tools in Google Earth to pin down some other information, such as use the path tool to plot how long a path, how many miles or tenths of a mile it is from where you're going to be able to park to maybe where you have to hike in. This is very important. You can also find out the elevation change between points. And it may be a relatively short distance that you have to hike, but if the elevation change is something like 2,000 feet, you may want to consider another place. Another important thing to use in Google Earth is the history feature. When you're taking a look at the initial images of Google Earth, you're seeing the way it is in the most recent satellite photo. Some things may not show up there, however, that may have been visible in previous versions or previous images of Google Earth. So in history, you can look back 1, 2, 5, maybe even as long as 10 years, depending on what the satellite images are that are available. And you can find out some very useful information sometimes, such as 5 years ago, there may be a road or a trail that was visible in Google Earth, but when you look at the current image, it's not there. But knowing where it was in the original image, you can use the latitude and longitude feature of Google Earth to pinpoint it and know how to get there. So anyhow, those are a few tips, and check out some of the references that I have at the end of the site, and good luck in your prospecting.